Yep. So now you can see my chat on one side, and Josh's chat on the other side. Yeah. I mean, it's been a challenge, none to say the least. So you can now check out my stream, you know, and my layout on the Nexus Games LLC channel, which is down in the description if you guys don't have access to it. Yep. And this is going to be difficult to get used to. You just look back there and you're like, what in the heck is that black stuff? Oh, yeah, yeah, that's the foe. And then 5 minutes later, what the heck is that black stuff on the wall? Oh, yeah, yeah, the foe. Yeah, it's definitely better. I mean, this pandemic still hadn't ended, so. So we're going to have to speedrun this. I didn't watch it, to be honest. Did you watch it? Oh yeah, I already knew that. And you know, I mean, did you have a reason to buy it without one? Because I mean the remaster, is it anything more than a port? No, so they're doing a graphics update then. Maybe one day. Yeah, yeah. I figured, I was looking at it being bare, and I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and put a test down. Yeah, I'm sitting here watching it, but there's no telling if it's actually going to show up. The very first. Well, on YouTube anyway. Streamed tons on Twitch, but yeah, I have two since I got a PC. Getting a PC will change your opinion on consoles. You'll be like, why would I get one? Why don't you get eight new monitors so you can have nine, and you have the like Rubik's cube of monitors set up. I mean, they might see you do that and be like, "Can you do that to the living room? We need a bigger screen in there." Just have like set up nine like big screen TVs tiled together, like the old '80 movies. You remember those? I mean, just more updates with Epic and whatnot, where Apple is legitimately trying to, despite the court already telling them not to, they're legitimately trying to remove all games from their iOS that use the Epic Game Engine, which is definitely going to solidly paint them as the villain kind of thing in so many ways. And I mean, they don't care about that, but obviously, but the question is, will they care? AKA, will their fan base that buys all these overpriced Apple products care and stop buying overpriced Apple products because of this? Yeah, the big issue I see with the discless version is I don't know if Sony has this, but I believe Microsoft has a proprietary hard drive in there, or SSD in there. Actually, I'm pretty sure Sony does too. So that if you want more space, you're not just going to be able to add a drive to the outside, like an external bay or anything. You're going to have to go and buy their expensive proprietary SSD, which will probably, and you'll have to chunk your old one, kind of thing, So, like your old one, let's say it's a 100 gig kind of thing, and it was like the equivalent of $200 kind of thing, and then you go buy a 500 gig, and you're probably paying like $1,000 for that thing, and then you lose the 100 that you already had, kind of thing. And it's like, ooh, ooh, and now you're talking about a very expensive PlayStation and still like no storage on it. Well, then you should be good when you play Project Red, or rather Neon Continuum. Well, I don't know why you'd be interested in that because all that is an emulator. Three emulators put into one. I mean, it's not like they updated the graphics or anything like that. You know, if they had, I would be interested in it. But since they didn't, I have zero interest. I have a lot of issues with it because they haven't done literally anything with it, kind of thing. And hopefully, hopefully we'll start even earlier. Like on time instead of like 20 minutes late or so, as usual. Yeah, so we starting with Cybernetic Vault. No, it's broken on your side. It's working on my side, thankfully. That thing is now I can't see the chats. I mean, I do. Yeah, yeah, it's very very interesting. It's like it's almost six. I mean, wasn't that a the old River Six? Oh yeah, yeah. Because slavery isn't bad. The bear map kind of reminds me of like I don't know, like a cheap Factorio kind of thing. Like early, like Alpha 1 Factorio kind of thing. It's true. I mean, it can't be because the next Dwarf Fortress is already out. It's called Dwarf Fortress. So no. Is that like a review or something? Oh jeez. Yeah. Well, a little bit, but how many red flags just came out of your mouth? Probably more than that. Yeah, that's um probably about infinity years after they quit making it. Yeah, that's about when it's going to get done. Is when the robot apocalypse comes, and then they see this game, and they're like, "Hey, they never finished this. You know, this was made 200,000 years ago. We're robots. We can finish it in like 3 seconds. You know, 2 seconds if we skip our compute cycles." I mean, taking out fancy stuff is a number one way to sell your game. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's child's play. And there probably won't be enough. Oh, I mean, like I can see it in like 5D. You know, it'll be interesting when they go to make a sequel to this. They'll call it the Wide Gate, and then the third one will be called the Long and Wide Gate. I think I think you messed up the name. It's not the Dark, and then it's a survival RPG. It's the Dark Survival RPG. Very, very important distinction, to not be confused with the other game called The Dark. Because I'm sure yeah, I'm pretty sure there's another game called The Dark. Not, well, I'm just talking about the name, just The Dark. Pretty sure there's a game like that. Yeah, it does look all like just high res World of Warcraft kind of thing with overblown glowing from candles and stuff. So how long do you think it takes to speed run this? 2 minutes? Yeah. Short end of that is it's not long enough to sell. It's long enough to put out there, and maybe build some kind of fan base by putting it out there for free, but it's not long enough to sell kind of thing. You sell that for even $1 and people are going to be mad. I mean, if they don't work, then it's no sweat because they just have to, you know, email, send their email to every person who ever wants it. It's easy as that. Yeah, it's a tiny game. Yeah, it's bigger than Micro. Yeah, I mean like, like ideally, you want your games to probably be at least 2.5 hours, just so you can get outside that Steam refund area. Sub 30 probably. Yeah, I'm not. The problem is I'm not seeing any actual neons in here. I don't know. Is that the the American beer, Coors beer? Yeah, exactly. I meant the blue. The last one is the closest to being neon, but that's not neon. I mean, neon is not ground and ceiling. Neons are lights, and I mean that is light looking. It looks like lights, but it's not lights. It's ground. Mm-mm. Maybe both. Maybe it's sad boy on sad boy violence. Yeah, I mean, Google liked that one. Platform. There we go. Platform gas. Do you got some platform gas in that? Yeah, yep. All platformers need platform gas. Many modes. Two. Many. It's right there in the name. Uh-uh. Chocho? Yeah. Gotta like the 2 feet in the second one. Oh, the 2 feet are attached to a giant nose if you look above it on the second one. None. Absolutely none. Yeah, you'll get us both a D mod. Yep. I'll get myself demodded. I mean, it means King Kong Robot explored by you. I mean, yes. Oh wow. I mean, these are like groundbreaking features. I mean, like I've never seen anything like this in any other game. These are like, I mean, like only the good ones do. Only the good ones have platform gaps. Like, yeah, I probably need to make a little meme logo or something so we could use that for an emote. Platform gas. Yeah, I don't either. Is it a walking simulator? Yeah, lots of triangles. I mean, but that's in all games. They're called tries. You might, and that's not anything related to anything outside of this game, right? Yeah. And by the bugs, he means basically me setting up most of the things for the stream. It doesn't even tell what the genre of that is. Oh yeah, yeah. Never mind. I'm not seeing that. Oh, absolutely. And that's the reason why Sekiro is like the best game ever made because like a stealth system that enemies can see you through solid objects, perfection. You know, if yeah, I mean like they're you know getting over it was a perfect game because like the see the mm, see it was perfect in the way that if you were a reaction based YouTuber, you could put that on there, and when you did your overreactions kind of thing, you could kick them up a whole nother notch because you were legitimately pissed when that happened, kind of thing. So like it's a legitimate pissed on top of the overreacting, making you super overreact kind of thing, and getting you more views and more money kind of thing. I mean that's why it was good, because like YouTuber money. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because like nobody's ever been covered by PewDiePie and not succeeded, except for a few people, and a few other people, and a few other people, and even a few other people. All right, I've got a game for you, Josh. Right? Okay, there's 5 bottles, with potions in them. Right? One's red, one's yellow, one's green, one's orange, and one's blue, and one's black. Now then, figure out how to play. And the thing you didn't notice there was more than 5. You might accidentally jumble jump. That's about it. Yeah, good luck on that unless you give them some kind of tutorial, and that tutorial can be just here's a wall, and and they run to it, and you basically you know force their mind into pressing it twice, kind of thing. Maybe put 2 up arrows, kind of thing, in there. You still have to onboard the player. I mean, because if you don't, then they're not going to know. They may fool around with it until they get frustrated and then quit. And maybe if they're fooling when they're fooling around pressing random stuff, they eventually get it, kind of thing. But more than likely, they're going to quit before they get it. Well, I think the problem is they don't actually know what they're talking about because they know that they played games where they felt like they figured it out, but there was onboarding in those games that helped them figure it out. I mean, it wasn't handholdy kind of thing and just sitting there and be like, press S, press A to jump kind of thing, and then force you to do it 3 times. It was they put they did stuff in such a way, integrated in such a way that it was seamless, a way to teach you how to jump. And Mario did that. The very first original Mario did that, and they did it without any kind of hand holding, but they still onboarded, and they're probably thinking about that and just like, hey, it just happens. No, it doesn't just happen. You got to put effort and onboarding into that to make that happen. That's harder than making a hand-holding tutorial, which is the reason why hand-holding tutorials are so common, because that's easier. And I have to, yeah. And I mean, that's what I did on my first published game. The Word of the Day Chromasia. It had a very organic, very built-in, streamlined tutorial that everybody who played it pretty much did not ever realize that there was a tutorial in there. Yep. hmm And the thing people, a lot of these new developers don't understand is that a tutorial that you do not see is not the same as having no tutorial and the player just figures it out on their own. They're completely two different things. You're comparing, like, I don't know, like a toilet full of crap to like a new brand new Lamborghini kind of thing. Where and then when you go to the hand holding tutorials, that's like a Honda Civic, you know. So you have the crap, you have, which is no tutorial. You have the Honda Civic, which is the hand holding tutorial, and then you have the streamlined, you know tutorial that nobody, that doesn't know what they're doing kind of thing, that can spot that, it's a, hidden tutorial that fully teaches the player, but you never realize that there's a tutorial there unless you're a designer or something and can actually see, oh, I see what they did there, kind of thing. Yeah, because like the bad souls, like they just they don't do right in many different ways, and onboarding is often one of them. You know, another way is like they punish the people who need the most help, and then they help the ones that need the least amount of help. You know, I played a game a few days ago from somebody who had posted it for feedback on one of the discords I'm on, and I played his game, and first thing off, like the controls were horrible. You had to use both WASD to move, you know, forward, backwards, side to side kind of thing, strafing, and then you had to use a mouse to point which direction you were in, which changed the relation of your WASD because your WASD was linked to the actual character, and then the direction of the character was linked to your mouse. And ooh, it felt horrible. And what I had to do to play it was I just limited myself to pressing W, just forward, and then I just did everything with the mouse, full control with the mouse. And that was the only way I was able to play it. But when I played it and got far enough, what it reminded me of was a prototype, a very super early broken prototype for that one game. Was it Ape Out, where you play as that ape and you like push and shove the guards and everything? It reminded me so much of that, but you were a monster. And the big, another big issue he had was that the monster didn't feel like a monster. It felt like like a piece of glass, like a glass monster, because they shoot you one time, you may die in that one time, but at best they shoot you three times and you're dead, kind of thing. And there's no tell whether or not that was a headshot or not. And it's even more baffling because the fact is every time I got shot, it was pretty much always in the front because I was always going towards the thing, and I was only using the W button. So like it was always, no matter when I got hit, it was always getting hit from the front. So where is that headshot that one hits me, and where is it not at? And like so many confusion there, and many other things. But like it was you know usability there was just not there. Like, hmm yeah, I seen that. It was not that night, but I seen it this morning. I think it was. I also played that one already. Yeah, like the simpler it looks, probably the harder it was to make, because the fact is you want, in order to, it's like if I gave you an entire book and told you to sum up that book in one paragraph, and you're like, and don't like miss anything, basically, kind of like just condense that entire book down to one paragraph, and you're like, that's going to be a lot of work, and they do all that lot of work, and that's a simple one. So like the more the when if they give you a book on how to play the game, they took the easy way out, aka the handholdy thing. If it's streamlined, you don't realize there's a tutorial there. It's very simplified, like very clean UI. As in there's not 5 billion options, everything sorted properly and everything else. That took a ton of work because like back to the word of the day. My game Chromasia, the thing with it is when you look at tactical RPGs, your normal tactical RPGs, you have move, you have attack, you have defense, and you have magic attack, and sometimes you have item too. We didn't have an item system, so we'll ignore that right there. And then under attack, and you'll have a sub menu, and then under magic, you'll have a sub menu. And we took all that, like the 4 menus and the 2 sub menus, and we turned that into 2 main menus and 1 sub menu because we combined attack and magic attack first. So it's just, all your attacks in one place. And then we put 1 sub menu in there. We should have put a divider in there that lets you know which ones were magic and which ones weren't. But we didn't. That's one thing we felt in onboarding kind of thing, in UI, UX. But the other thing was we also combined move into attack, but we also combined move into defense. So now when you press attack, you're basically pressing move, attack, and magic attack all at the same time. You're pressing all 3 of those buttons in one button press. And when you press defense, you're pressing defense and move in one button press. And there's no, you in move/defense, you just go right to placement, and in the attack, you go pick your attack in the sub menu, and then you go right to your lining up your attack and everything. And the thing I hated about Disgaea, which we overcome by this UI, is with Disgaea, you go and you move, and then you pick your attack, and you're like, dang it, I'm 1 square off, and then you move back, and then you move back out, and then you find out now you're 1 square off to the other side. You go back and you redo it, and now you're back where you started at. You go back and undo it, and now you finally got it right, and now you hit the attack. Where mine, you're moving and lining up the attack at the same time, so it's just seamless. And then the other thing we did was, with those games, you have to, rotate it, manually. You have to, choose a direction kind of thing. And what we did was we still allowed you to manually rotate, but we also said, hey, if there's an enemy in the area where, one of the 4 directions would be facing kind of thing, face that way. Basically an auto target. And I found that 99% of the time, I never had to even manually rotate. Which I didn't even think it was going to be that good. I thought it was just going to be, hey, this is going to get like 20% of the time. But it got dang near 100, and I was actually shocked with how good that was. hmm But man, Plants vs Zombies, man, that had tons of just work into that UI UX, and the onboarding and everything else. They poured so much work into there. It was crazy. And the thing is most people will probably look at it and be like, "There's no tutorial in here," or "There's basically none." But there's a lot of tutorial in there. There's a shocking ton in there, but it's streamlined so good that you don't realize it. And the fact is that, and the difference between that and just having nothing, no tutorial, is like so night and day difference. Like it may not look night and day difference, but it is so night and day difference because one side, both sides feel like it doesn't have a tutorial because one side actually doesn't. But the real difference is one group learns it and never gets frustrated and really enjoys the game. The other group, 99% of them rage quit, throw the controller at the monitor, break the monitor, shattering it all over the place, and then get pissed off about that and start some kind of frivolous lawsuit against you for making you break their monitor because you frustrated them with your game, and the other like 1% play it and it's like, oh, this is the greatest game ever. Actually, it's probably less than 1%, but and I think you need to do that treatment to all games. Mm-hmm. No, you can. You just will fail horribly. See you, Resto. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's another aspect of, this that we haven't touched on, and that was aesthetics kind of thing. Like some people purposely make their aesthetics bad. They're like, oh, this was, we're trying to emulate NES graphics. So we're purposely making them look bad to look like that. It's like, no, 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 no. You don't NES graphics. There are some good looking NES games out there. Like Super Mario Brothers 3 is a good looking NES game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those are good looking games. They're not. Mm-hmm. And you can't just emulate them as of, oh, this is the style, this is the exact specifications, but in crappy form. That's good enough. Ship it. You do that, and you're making your game bad on purpose, and you may capture the essence of NES games, but what you're capturing the essence of is LJN. The one of the worst NES game maker of all time. I mean, if you want to be the equivalent of the worst you know NES game developer, then go ahead. But you're not going to like the results because they're not going to be positive. Now then, if you want to emulate a NES game in such a way to make it beautiful NES game like Mario 3, Castlevania, all these other things, Metroid, Mega Man games. Like those were very pretty games, and you could definitely emulate that and pull that off if you're good enough, kind of thing. And it will look more like an NES game than what the other person was doing with the just let's just slap something together and make it look bad on purpose. Like no. Yeah, I mean, and they also don't care if you go on your store page and say do not buy this game. What they'll do is not buy the game. Reverse psychology doesn't work. Not in this case. Yeah, Infomax looks really good. Yeah, I mean, 8-bit wasn't ugly by default. 8-bit was ugly when they had a crap budget and a crap art team, kind of thing. Like if you want to do a crap budget and a crap art team, go ahead. But people are going to see it and be like, "That's a crap budget and crap art game," and then they're not going to buy it. But if you do like good NES graphic kind of thing, then like with today's technology and everything, today's tools, today's knowledge, more specifically, because like you're still following the limitations of the NES, but or at least most of them, all the graphic ones for the most part. But even within those limitations, kind of thing, you can make something better than any NES game out there because the fact is you can skew it because like the NES had very specific color palettes. You can run any color palette. You can even limit it to the same number of colors, but you could also like add more colors because I mean that was just a technology limit, and that's not going to be like that's not a legit NES thing at that point. No, it'd be just as legit. Hmm. Well, what they wanted to do is make a game that the developers back in those times wanted to make, but couldn't because of hardware limitations, because of cartridge limitations, because of speed and latency issues, because of knowledge, because like people back then didn't know nothing in game dev compared to what we do now. It is night and day difference kind of thing. Because I mean, they were basically programming on a calculator where we're programming on like a like what was the equivalent back then of like every computer in the world tied together and then multiply that by 10. And that's for a low spec. And they also had design was not all that big back then because like I mean nowadays when you talk about lives in a game, that's a really outdated mechanic kind of thing, and that was in e- basically every game back then. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, are you going to, put the bull crap of you've got to write down this password in your game? No. Well, you might, but not if you want to do well. I mean, it is where you want to test somebody if you want to go out of business. Nope. You got a market of Josh and like what 2, 3 thousand others, but not even all 2, 3 thousand of those even play games. I mean, if you I think if you want to, appeal to the masochism, thing, you'd be better off not focusing on old school Nintendo games, but rather, ones with BDSM hoods, and stuff. Hmm. Yeah, it's not just as simple as just make it and they'll figure it out. You know, I mean, the example I gave with the potions to you. I mean, what do you do? I mean, like the only thing you can really do is start clicking on things, see if the potions are interactable, and if they are, see if you're gonna mix them together, see if something happens, and just keep on fooling around until something happens. And the thing is see, I made mine, like a lot of these people would, that do know onboarding, and the whole secret was the black potion on a black background, so that you couldn't even see the potion or the clear base that was on it. So when you were clicking around, all these, 5 potions that you could see, nothing happened, and then you had to, you know, magically, accidentally click and drag on the black potion, and then you hear the sound effect of the potion swiggling, and you're like, wait a minute, is there something in my thing? And then you jiggle it, yeah. And then if you accidentally put it down, kind of thing, you're not finding it again, and then you have to find out what the heck you're supposed to do with that, which was, mix it with the blue potion because the game beat you black and blue trying to figure out that dang puzzle. Mm-hmm. No, I mean it's positive that you have one fan, but it's the fact is that there's like 3,000 people, or 200, 2,999 more people that didn't give it 3 hours. They gave it like 5 minutes. They uninstalled and got a refund. And then that one person left you that comment, and that one person will, in the 2099 that refunded did not. And they didn't even bother leaving a review that I couldn't figure this game out because they didn't find it worth their time, just like they didn't find playing it for 3 hours was worth their time. So they left and they just got their money back and left. And you had nothing the wiser to them even being there. You didn't even know they existed, but there was 3,000 people that bought your game, and you just lost 2,999 of them. No, it doesn't. And the thing is the developers don't even know that because you know, as releasing games myself, kind of thing. Like, it doesn't tell me when somebody refunded the game. It does not tell me any of that. But I can see some evidence that there was probably some refunds because of the amount of money that I was paid, kind of thing, was not exactly even with the price, but the price was the same in all regions, kind of thing. So something got eaten up in like transaction fees and stuff like that, kind of thing, and like you know, and I have no idea how many people refunded, and I have no knowledge of anything that happened. It just there's so many there's data points that point to the fact that something did happen there and there was some kind of refund, but Steam does not give those numbers. Steam does not have a category of refunds. They have a category of gross sales and whatnot, and those are pretty much a month behind. Which is after that you've hit the 30-day limit of being able to keep the game before you're no longer able to refund. And they only pay you once a month. So, and if that, because if you don't hit $100, they're not going to be paying you at all. Yeah, and that's a toxic fan base, but that is. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's perfect. You know, the thing is though is there would be a lot more people that like that game had they done the proper onboarding, UI, proper art, all this other stuff. And a lot of them will be YouTubers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know somebody who made one of these games that were, very, very frustrating. It was a platformer, that had the platform gas in it and everything. Well, actually, it was really lacking platform gas because it was one of these ones that had, horrible onboarding, you know, punishment mechanics and all this other stuff that, all these red flags and everything. And, he put his game out there and, he got more YouTubers to cover his game than I did, kind of thing. And, you know, because I basically got zero. I got three, technically. One, we're four counting you, Josh. And, thing is, he got like 10, 15, 20 to cover, make videos on it and everything. But do you know what his sales were? And do you know what my sales were? My sales were dismal, but my sales were like 130 copies we sold. I think he sold three copies. You know, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Before that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You if you're depending on all the restarts, then you're depending on failure, quite frankly, because like you're depending on, 99.9% of, you know people, you know quitting your game and, and frustrated and everything, and you fail all those people, and then you're the one person who makes it through all that level. That's the one you didn't fail, because that's the one that is like Superman and couldn't be failed. No matter how many bullets you shot at him, he just sit there and tanked all of them, kind of thing, because he's freaking Superman. But most people are not Superman. 99.999% of people are not Superman. They are, you know, they may be the Flash, but they're going to get hit by a bullet and they're going to go down. Oh yeah, yeah. I got to the point on my testing for my last game, uh, to where the hardcore was saying this is too easy, and the more newbie were saying that this is a little bit on the hard side. I was like, that's probably a good sign that I've got it right where it needs to be, right in the middle. Where the newbies are having problems, but not like a whole lot of problems, and the hardcore is just breezing through it. Because the fact is if you go, you know any higher, then you're going to be cutting out everybody, all the newbies, kind of thing, and then they're going to all be refunding. And if you go any lower, then you're just insulting your hardcore players, and they're just going to be like, "No, I'm out," kind of thing. As well as mine, the Discord and everything. So you'll find in both of our description, you'll find all of our links and everything, and you can join our Discords. Yep, and we always enjoy talking game dev. See ya.